The Amazon original series Undone. Is it just weird and trippy enough to be fascinating? Or is it just too weird? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler-free review for the Amazon original series Undone. So, was it too weird to be good, or was it just so weird that it was good? I lean toward it was just so weird that it was good. Like, it held my attention and it kept me entertained. I mean, what made me want to watch the show was the trailer.
I'm seeing my dead father.
I wasn't in an accident, I was killed.
And he's training me to travel in time.
With your ability, we can change what happened.
I mean, did you hear that? That's kind of an interesting plot. Plus that unique look. So I was kind of between a B+ and a B. I'm landing on a B+. The reason I'm landing on a B+ is when the show was over, I was intrigued. And I had so many questions. And they were the good kind of questions. Like, the show left me thinking about it. But the reason I was teetering towards just a flat-out B was because it wasn't one of those shows that, like, once it's over, I don't know, like, I don't feel like I have to immediately go back to it. Like, I'll probably go back to it if they actually come out with this season 2, in which case then I'll go back to it just to refresh my mind on what was going on. So there were elements of it, like, I don't know, some of the relationship drama and stuff like that that I just didn't care about even a little bit. And there was a lot of some of those things I didn't care about a little bit in light of this weird, awesome sci-fi stuff that was going on. But the weird, awesome sci-fi stuff that was going on is what kind of bumps it up to a B+ for me, because I found all of that interesting. So, first off, the rotoscoping, which is the live action with this animation put on top of it. Was it good? Was it distracting? For me, it was disjointing and fascinating. Like, it left me with a little bit of a disconnect with some of the stuff that was going on, but it made me feel like I was outside looking in, fascinated. Which is interesting because that's what the character Alma is going through. She is bored with her life. She gets in this car wreck in a coma for a few weeks, and when she wakes up, her dead dad is training her how to time travel. So her reality is now very disjointed and kind of fascinating. So in one way, I think the rotoscoping worked for me because it gave me the feeling that Alma was going through. Kind of fascinated by her reality, kind of fascinated by what was going on, yet slightly disconnected from it, kind of like on the outside looking in. So I think that's what the show was going for, and I feel like it did that for me. Some of the negatives with the rotoscoping, there were just some scenes where it looked kind of awkward. Like her boyfriend Sam, there were a few moments where there was like a close-up on his face, and because of his beard, it felt like it kept going in and out between being the overlaid animation and the live action, and I don't even know how to describe it. There were just some places where it felt like the live action would bleed through and then the rotoscoping would kind of just fall over top. I don't know. Point is there were moments where it felt kind of awkward, and I found myself distracted going, this doesn't look right. But usually those scenes where I was thinking that are the scenes that had to do with the relationship drama that I could have cared less about. So I was already kind of taken out of it a little bit in some of those scenes, and so I was noticing some more of that stuff. So that could be it, because anytime you had her dad on the screen and Alma on the screen...
Of course. The only one in my family who believes in me is the dead one.
For now.
And they were talking, they were training, they were discussing things. I was a bit more intrigued and a bit more brought in, and more of everything worked together for me. So maybe it just kind of has to do with some of the slow spots in the show. Another positive that I like, though, is it's only an 8-episode season, and each episode is like 22 minutes long. So it was not very long at all. When I binged this whole thing, it wasn't a 10-hour binge or a super long thing. It was just like watching a 2.5-hour long movie. And so that was kind of nice. And the other nice thing about it being broken up the way it did, every time a 20-some-odd minute episode would end, I felt like I accomplished something. And kind of having that I accomplished this made me more apt to hit play and just watch the next one. And then when I really, I kind of backed out at one point and saw that there was only 8 episodes and they were all so short, that's when I kind of just made the determination, yeah, I'm gonna knock this whole thing out in one evening. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it was nice to get it that way, like a movie all together. I don't know how I would feel if I kind of spread it out, because my wife and I, watching the first episode, we didn't connect to it at all in the first episode. It just, there wasn't really anything super fascinating. Like, you could tell it was building towards something interesting and something fascinating, but it just didn't grip us. It took to about the second or third episode for us to have this odd fascination with the show that at one point I looked at Laura and I was like, I don't know if I love or hate this show. All I know is I want to keep hitting play and I want to know what is happening. And so that was kind of our general feeling as we went through it. And by the end of it, we went on a walk afterwards and we were both asking questions back and forth. And I think I had to take that as a positive because I was intrigued. I was intrigued by its premise. I was intrigued by the overall storyline of what this character Alma was going through. And they did a good job where I liked the dad in the beginning and then kind of disliked him towards the end, but ended up still liking him. And then you had Alma, who in the very beginning, I'm like, really? One of the things reasons I couldn't attach to the first episode is I didn't like her at all. Not that the actor did a bad job with her performance, but I didn't like her at all because I just didn't like the character. I just thought she was too selfish and too unlikable. But as the show began to progress and you get more and more into her mind and see things more and more through her perspective, it's like, oh, and so I ended up liking her a little bit more while still disliking her almost overall. Like, I began to understand her more and it kind of endeared me a little bit more and more to her, where it's like, I want to see this character grow and become better and better. So it was kind of a weird, interesting, disjoining, disconnected, fascinating experience that when it ended, I had way more questions than answers. The animation and style, the way it was filmed and shot, yeah, it gives it freedom to do a lot of interesting things, but you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I enjoyed what it brought to it because I like I said earlier, it's that disconnected, fascinating thing that was going in my mind. I felt a little disjointed from it, but I was fascinated by what I was watching, which again is what the character Alma seems to be going through. So in the end, that's why I'm giving it a B+, because it left me with a lot of questions and I was intrigued overall. What makes me want to go a little bit lower in that grade is the drama and some of that other, relationship stuff that I just did not care about. But yeah. I don't know what else to say when it comes to that. There were things about this show that were really good and drew me in, and there were things about this show that I honestly didn't care about, but the fact that it's able to get through it so fast made it all pretty interesting overall. So I'm gonna land on a B+. What did you think of this show? Let's talk about that in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, trailer reaction, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin, thanks for checking out Durbania.